What's up, guys? Showing off a new watch build for my buddy Mike. This will be his first watch. Work with Mike. So this one might be a little bit longer because we're going to make sure Mike understands everything he needs to know about this watch. Because he probably does not have anything like this. So he recommended a distressed watch. So what we have here is our standard brushed case that I've put in muriatic and hydrochloric acid. Let it eat through that. I did that with that, and the bezel itself, the ring that holds the case back on, and the buckle. So for reference, on this other Kraken I just built, you can see the difference there. So if you use, like, if you would scratch this or take a green side of a Scotch Brite to it or anything like that, you will knock off that like aging. And it is kind of cool when that happens over time because it's usually done along the edges, so then it kind of even makes it even more distressed looking. But shark tooth bezel on this one. We have a custom lasered insert and custom lasered dial. Did a set of black distressed hands with a long loom seconds hand. Milled and engraved case back. I did not age this because there's no reason to put acid on this and then put baking soda on it and then just hope for the best. I make sure to put baking soda on it with water and like leave it in there for a while to like clear up any chemical reaction, and then I use gun oil on it to kind of like just make sure that not only is the reaction gone and the smell gone, but it's kind of it's not necessarily rickety, but whatever moisture was there is kind of gone, so that helps just a little bit on it. So that in a nutshell is the build. We've got a strap from Mr. Gillespie over at Wristbound. This is a nice distressed like silver, for lack of a better word, with off-white stitching. And then I mentioned you got the brushed preview buckle, you got your Kraken logo on there and a little BVW on there. And I did not age this. Sometimes I do that, but over time it's going to become white again, except for these little pits inside there, because you kind of polished it back out. So no necessary reason to do that. It looks cool anyway with that just kind of nice and perfect. So especially in the future, if you do get little scratches in it and those are nice and shiny and silver, it will just blend right in. So that's the build. Bezel on this will turn left, it'll turn right. Now it's not going to turn very easy. It's only going to turn when you want it to turn, because I have a very tight tension ring in there, and I also have a O-ring that I've been putting around the glass to make extra friction contact with this. So a lot of times when you get these, when I get them stock, they're very spinny, and you can sit there and kind of like, you don't want that. So it's not like you're wearing some sort of carnival trick on your hand, so on your wrist. But anyway, so that's the build. That's how the bezel works on that. Inside here, you've got an automatic movement. You've got a rotor in the back, and as you're moving, it's moving. Do I have one sitting here? I can just reach up and grab one. So for reference, in the back of this, you've got a rotor. So, crown sticking out here. So as you're moving, this is moving, right? And that's putting micro winds into these double gears right here, putting them into the mainspring, right? So as you're moving, it's winding, right? And that's what's running your watch. Once it's wound out as much as it can go, it's just deflecting. It's not accepting anything more than that. So you can't overwind it, even if you're just sitting there doing this all day with your watch. You're not going to overwind it. It's going to take what it needs and then slowly work off its 31 hour plus power reserve on it. So with that all in mind, when you go to set the time and go to put it on your wrist, you want to wind it just a little bit beforehand, because if it's completely dead, you have to set your time, put it on your wrist, and all of a sudden be like moving around, right? You got to be like doing stuff. So pre-wind it just a little bit, back the crown off the threads until you hear it and feel it clicking. You'll know you're not on that crown tube anymore because you won't have that structure. You'll feel a little bit of play here, so you know you are not on anything. You're not on the threaded crown tube. At that point, you'll hear the clicking, and you can wind. And a wind is clockwise as you're looking at it from the side or away from you. Winding it towards you does not wind it, but it is a lot easier to keep your finger spacing and go back and forth. So doing that for 4 or 5 seconds before you set the time and put it on will keep your time running throughout the day. If you do it for another 4 or 5 seconds, like I'm doing it, like I do it aggressively, you'll max out that 31-hour plus power reserve, which means if you wound it all out like that for 10 seconds, set the time and set it down, in 31 hours it should still be running or getting close to not running anymore. Often when I do it, they're like pushing 33, 34 hours. But that's what that means with that. So if you have it on your wrist and you're wearing it around and you're moving around, you're always keeping it at like that 31-hour plus. It's once you put it down that it should be sitting there running for about 31 hours. So, but if you're going to be driving or at a desk, that kind of thing, that's when you want to pre-wind it, because you're not moving around enough to keep it, to make sure it's keeping time. So after you do that, after you're happy with your wind, you're going to pull it to the one and only click, and you can now set your time. You'll notice that the seconds hand's still going, everything's still going. It's not a hacking movement, which means that it doesn't stop when you pull it into that position. And now you can set your time. You'll notice a couple things. One is you have what's called a wobble crown. So you can see those threads there, and you can see you've got space. You can see the stem sticking out. Now you can't, not until I hold it out there, or kind of, what should I do? Oh, there we go. But you can see you've got a little bit of play, right? It will turn a little bit. That's called a wobble crown, and that deflects lateral pressure from going into the stem and into the movement. No effect on the keyless works. So if you're, a little bit rough with it, or you accidentally kind of, it's not putting it into the movement. So, Alexa, what time is it? 4:17 p.m. You're going to wind that around to 4:17. It's about right there. Push this over. Get it out of that time setting. And then wind it back down on that crown tube. And that, sir, is your build. As with every build, you get matching beads, entirely up to you how cool you are, whether you wear them with your watch. It's going to come with a slider Kraken box with an Atlas pillow inside. It's going to come with a few things. Watch cleaner. This will keep your watch perfectly clean, non-streaking, non-toxic, non-residue. That's good for glass and metal. So everything there in the center, as well as your microfiber. You're also going to get leather conditioner. You'll probably never need it for this strap because it's nice, soft, and pliable. But over time, if it's ever getting abrasive on your wrist, drying out for any reason, not as pliable, use a rag, apply some on the front and the back, work it in, make sure it's there, let it soak in, re-moisturize that leather like you do with your boots. So that's what this is. And then lastly, you're going to get something called Fine Scratch Remover. This is Novus 2 from Amazon, just repackaged. It's like Polywatch, and Polywatch is for acrylic glass polishing. And that's important because you have a domed acrylic glass. So if you ever scratch this, put a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of this on it and use your other microfiber in there and buff it out. What you do is, if the scratch is going up and down, make sure you're going circles over it. You're filling that scratch. You're working it into that hole. You're generating some heat with your thumb. You're really pushing on that. And you are filling that, but you're also solidifying it with a bit of that heat. If you do that for 30 seconds and then grab another piece of it, then get it to an area that isn't have that stuff on it, and just get it off, then take a look at it. Like, oh, is that scratch still there? Okay, it's not, or it is. Wait a little bit, let that solidify. It's kind of like, I don't want to liken it to drywall mud, but you don't want to get back on where you've mudded something, because as you mud over it again, it's dried a little bit. Now you're pulling it out. So just revisit it later on. But that's for, getting scratches on that glass. So this is something that will scratch. So if you're trying to wear this at work, Mike, and you hit it on things, you will put scratches on there. You definitely will. So just throwing that out there. This would not be something that you'd want to wear to like work hard on. This is something like you're going out to eat, going to the mall, you're going to the movies, you're doing something like that where you're not hitting it on things, because with acrylic, you will put scratches on it. If you put scratches on this, not as big a deal. It's supposed to be distressed. It's supposed to kind of look beat up. Not a big deal. But, and I mean, I guess in a perfect world, if you get some scratches on here, it's kind of goes with the theme. But just letting you know, you will put scratches in that if you're taking it to work and you're working with it and you're hitting it on things, because it is acrylic glass. So, but that's your build, buddy. Thank you so much. This is your first watch from me. And for those of you guys watching, if you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out. I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe, so I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.